Alright, so we're going ghost towning and we're entering mining district. I think that's the Santa Rita mine out there from a different perspective. Look at the tailing piles, the extent of them. But we'll be having a look at Hanover and Fiero. There are a couple of mining towns that had a pretty interesting history, and I'll fill you in on some of it when we get there. Alright, so we've driven up and we can see the head frame, and we're going to start at the beginning of the main road. And as you can see, there's artifacts everywhere and there's ruins everywhere. So everywhere you go around here, there's interesting artifacts. And we have this first building. God, it's almost constructed in the manner of a jail. It's actually, oh, it's solid. Then, coming like this, have a look around, some shelving, filing. Kind of interesting. Boy, it's dark in here. Oh shit, there's bees in here. Yeah, we need to get out of here. You know, that was really weird. You know what? Those weren't bees. Those were flies. Something's in there that's, I think, deceased. I don't know. That was a little creepy. It reminds me of this song by Alice Cooper off the '72 album, Killers, Halo of Flies. Yeah, that was a swarm of flies. Oh no, something's dead in there. And I'm not going to stick around to find out. Okay, so we leave behind the House of Horrors. That thing is built like it was a jail, at least the interior. The walls were all concrete and one thing that's really neat about this area is there is a lot to explore. Well, we've got reserved parking. That's always nice. Go ahead and make our way in here. Oh, I love this picket fence. It's fantastic. The old concrete, totally old school. We've got tiles on the floor. And you know, something again, I always talk about it, but what is this? This vandalism. God, why in the world? I just, you know, it's very disappointing. Always be careful when you're walking on these floors in these old places. This feels really solid under my feet, but nonetheless, you know, there's just all kinds of this and that strewn about. Now these floors are a little different. I would be careful. I'm going to walk along the beams. If you look in here, in this room, it looks like, well, the floor is caved in. There's an old mattress there. This looks like it was, well, that was a restroom facility right over here. And you got these roof beams. This is actually pretty decent wood for recovery. It's a shame to let it all go to waste. Yeah, you can see the old school tile. When I look at the windows, those are common from the 40s. The little lock hinges on the windows. So kind of a neat old abandoned building. Let's see what's in here. And a little bit of give in the floor here. You can see the wall construction. I like the construction. And then what's really neat here is that we've got this brick, and then they had their overlay adjacent to the offices that we were just having a look at. This looks like where they kept all of the core samples. You can see shelves and shelves, and of course, let's see, we'll have a look in here. Yeah, they did a lot of core sampling because these shelves were once filled. Building 7, you see some piping coming through the line. Yeah, it's in a state of decay. Pretty cool. All right, next we'll go and we'll have a look at the head frame. Well, you can't mine without water. And throughout the facility you can see these kind of hookups, some of the hose. Very cool hydrant, totally old school. Again, as we approach the headworks, water everywhere, you know, and it had to be utilized. So they had quite extensive, you can see iron pipe oftentimes being exposed all over this site. This area, I think if I remember correctly, was discovered by a German immigrant who discovered iron and copper in the area, and he named Hanover after his hometown of Hanover, Germany. Are entering the headwork zone. The power box is all against the wall. Total old school. And we won't go too far in here. You can see there's still material. Still hoses. Really neat. Here's the bins for raw material, and then we're looking right up at the head frame. It really is neat. It's just super cool to be out here checking this stuff out. And right here we just have a storage, more hoses, and we come up here and we've got the entire complex up here. The first building got a little creepy for me, but I don't know, I'm a little weird about. Wow, look at this. Oh yeah, this is like a records room. It looks like they stored records here. They've got a tonnage of what look like sandbags. Well, and they probably had cores here. Oh, these are neat. Oh my God, look at these core boxes. Not the best flooring. It looks like someone started a fire there of some kind. That's pretty darn unacceptable. Oh my God. They had a rail coming right through this zone. Oh, this is neat as can be. Super cool. Look at the rail. It's just a little narrow gauge rail, and it actually entered into this door. Oh, this is pretty cool. And it terminated right here. They must have loaded that train up in here and sent it on out. That's really cool. Okay, so we've actually explored the main headworks area, probably the oldest section of mining. And we're going to make our way up the road, and we're going to look at some of the residential areas. It's a lot of dilapidated homes. We're going to have a look at the old church. I think we can get in there. and just see how people lived in the area. Of course, like everything else, we've got old concrete and old infrastructure everywhere. Right here is the Hanover post office, and I believe it was established in 1899. Of course, it's been refaced and updated, but it's still, it keeps a continuity in the area because of the way it was, refinished, and it's pretty cool. But along the road and straight across the street, we find the ruins. You've got the roof coming in. So we're standing here in front of the general store, Mercantile, La Tienda. And unfortunately, vandals have come in because this was sealed up here. Yep, sure as can be. They completely destroyed the place. I can't believe it. You can see where the shelving was on the walls. And you can see how beautiful the ceiling was done too. I actually really don't expect to find a heck of a lot. And it's just sad. There used to be, just a few months ago, this entire building here was enclosed. And there was a sink, there was cabinetry, you could see an old ice box. You could walk in here, there was a sink right here. And this is, I don't know who did this, but it's a shame. All the shelving was still on the walls, and this is the back way in. And this place has great history, and now because it's completely exposed to the elements and the wind can blow through, and any other potential vandals can come in, I mean, the place would just deteriorate that much more quickly, and eventually they'll just have to take it down for safety reasons. You can see that the roof is beginning to collapse here. So this is probably one of the last looks you might get at this really neat, what was a general store. Sometime soon, at the end of this video, I'll show you some of the artifacts I found last time I was up here. The vandals were here as well. They lit the home on fire, what was left of it, and it's really a shame. This, I've got to say, is a treat. This is an adobe structure. Now, I don't know the history, but I do know that it's probably one of the oldest structures around here. Look at that. It's neat. Look at the way they made these. And then it looks like they almost have like a little loft in here. It's really interesting the way they built it. Let's see what they got in here. Little concrete pad. It could have been a pump house. I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of, moving in that direction. It's not a very stable structure, but it is really neat. This is neat stuff. Anyways, this used to be a little jail, and then it became a mercantile, La Tienda, and so it served dual purposes. And then this was run as, I think, a grocery store by the Araujo family. I think it's capital A-R-A-U-J-O. Old tiles, floors being broken out, roof coming down a little. That's a fairly modern door. This building was in use until fairly recently. That could be late 60s, 70s style door and doorknob. And we've got the adjacent building. We're now in Fiero, which is a little further up the road. Everything we looked at previously was in Hanover. We have this. We could probably take a quick peek in the window. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah, definitely a home. There's the Some of the kitchen infrastructure still in there. No trip to a mining town would be complete without a visit to the local cemetery. And I would suspect that a good portion of miners, their families, and their ancestors, you know, are buried here. And you can tell a lot about these, you know, the age, from just looking at the grave itself, the way it's set up. This is a beautiful cemetery. It's really neat. And this again is the Fiero Cemetery. Labrador Calderon. 1925 burial. Really neat. And this is a really beautiful monument. Yeah. These are newer. These are newer graves. Okay, here we have the village of Fiero, New Mexico, Fiero Preservation Association, and this is a Roman Catholic cemetery. A couple of these families I recognize as having been in the Fiero area for a long time. The Drakes, I think, owned one of the mercantiles. I have to remember the data, but this just gives an overview: rules, burials, things of this nature, visitation, security, maintenance, graves and markers, just to keep things in order, I suppose. And our last stop is going to be St. Anthony's Catholic Church, which is located right there. And so we'll go have a look and maybe say a few words and be on our way. All right, we're now at St. Anthony's and we're just gonna walk on up here. Looks like she's closed up. This church was built in 1916. And I mean, you can imagine all those that came here and worshiped, and you know, the funerals, the weddings, the baptisms that all occurred here. I guess it's kind of fitting that after visiting the cemetery that we come up here. You can see the construction. Oh, they've got a double top secret crawl space. That's kind of cool. Here's the old steps, and they've got them wired off, so we can't enter the church, but we can have a look at it and appreciate it. Look at this beautiful old stained glass window, an old frame. Oh, it's gorgeous. I love this. Is really neat. It's just beautiful. Look at the work, and look at the colors. Reminds me of some of the stones you like, maybe petrified wood. Some of the it's beautiful. It's got really gorgeous colors, and yeah, I think it's magnificent. And so I'm in this fantastic Mexican food restaurant in Hurley, New Mexico, which is located southeast of Silver City, which is magnificent. It's just a beautiful little restaurant with an amazing bottle collection. And the restaurant is the Patio Restaurant at 100 Cortez, Hurley, New Mexico. The food was great, and the green chilies, out of this world. So fresh. I had a green chili burrito, and it was El Fantastico. So the trip to Fiero and Hanover was great fun, and what I have is I have artifacts with me right now from the last two trips. The last trip I forgot to format my SD card, and so nothing recorded, which was really unfortunate. But some of the things I found, and they're interesting, and it's amazing they're still hanging around. I guess I'll start with the most mundane. I found a lot of ore samples, and so we were able to find this material everywhere. Some other things that I found were the usual railroad spikes, and there's plenty of them laying around. And I've got from the tracks and the date 1943. Pretty neat. These were holding core samples. Some of the larger core samples. Sections of them were in these boxes. There were a lot of these boxes, and I only took two. One of them was laying outside, so I grabbed that one. But they're just, I don't know, they're kind of neat. So I was lucky enough to get a bottle. The story behind this is I found this bottle last trip, and it's an amber. It was manufactured in Illinois, an Illinois glass company, and it's dated 1945. Okay, some other things. So I got this window on this trip. It was laying under a house that had been obliterated by vandals. And both the panes are intact, and that's why I grabbed it, because now this over here is something that I really like. This is the big one, and you can see that it has a dozen panes in it. All the panes are intact, and they're the original glass. It was just a great trip. It's beautiful to be out there, you know, and to see these artifacts. Some vandals are coming out there, and they are stripping the remaining structures, and the mercantile was in beautiful condition only 4 months ago when I was there last, and it really, I mean, I was saddened to look in there because the place had just been demolished, and they were just basically stealing the wood. And the wood was beautiful, and it's just a shame that some family, you know, can't go up there, take a little peek through one of the cracks in the doors and, you know, show their kids. The back door was open last time I was there, and, you know, if you're a little kid and you go walking through these buildings, it's like a big adventure, you know, when you're a young person. So I'm really disappointed by that. I can't, you know, I talked to a security guard by mine, and he told me, he said, we've had a lot of trouble the last year and a half, so... anyways, Fiero, Hanover, near Silver City. It's probably, it's less than a half of an hour drive. You go through Bayard, you take the 152, which does a loop, and you'll see some of the head frames, and there'll be signage that'll direct you there. You know, go, look around, you know, and just enjoy it for what remains. A lot of people worked hard up there. You know, we went to the cemetery, which was really, really nice. It's a really peaceful place, and there's a good vibe there. So, a good place to explore. Thanks for watching, and good hunting in whatever you do. Whether you fish, you know, look for minerals, whatever it may be. Thanks.